Welcome to Turkey Run State Park, one of the most beautiful and scenic places in Indiana. People from all over the world visit this park each year for its rugged landscape, natural beauty, and recreation opportunities. There are canyons, gulches, waterfalls, and remnants of a virgin forest here. As you explore this park, you may wonder, why does this area look so different? To understand why, we need to take a look at how this landscape and state park were formed. If the artwork is Turkey Run, the artist was time and the medium was water. In other words, Turkey Run's uniqueness is due to the forces of water over time. The rock that makes up the canyon walls is Mansfield sandstone, named for a nearby town. This sandstone was formed during the Pennsylvanian period 300 million years ago. At that time, the ancient Michigan River flowed through this region on its way to an inland sea. Turkey Run is located where this ancient river slowed down and became a swampy river delta. When water slows down, particles fall to the bottom. For millions of years, sand was deposited in layers. These layers are evident on the canyon walls. Changes in water flow, erosion, and deposition make it difficult to tell how long it took for individual sand layers to form. Over time, the sand was buried under sediment. Heat and pressure turned the sand into sandstone. Mansfield sandstone is not tightly packed and can easily break. This is partially the reason for the canyons being here, but there's more to it. The canyons and gulches that have made Turkey Run famous were created much later. They didn't exist until the Pleistocene epoch, commonly referred to as the Ice Age. This time period was marked by glaciers and resulting rivers of ice advancing and receding time and time again into portions of what is now Indiana as the climate warmed and cooled. The cycle of extending and receding left the top half of Indiana very flat. Turkey Run was covered by the most recent glacier, the Wisconsin, but was within 8 miles of its southern end in the region. When this glacier receded, its meltwater flowed through this area, carving out Sugar Creek and the spectacular canyons in Turkey Run. The glaciers also left behind boulders called glacial erratics. These boulders were not created here, but were picked up from more northern regions and moved here. This process is called plucking. Due to the flow of the meltwater, these boulders are easily seen in the bottom of canyons. Over millions of years, Turkey Run's landscape was formed by the power of water. Over 100 years ago, before Turkey Run became a state park, Hoosiers started visiting this area for recreation. Turkey Run has held a special place in many people's hearts, so much so, it was decided that Turkey Run should be the first state park in Indiana. However, Turkey Run instead became the second state park in Indiana as a result of a combination of stewardship, greed, and happenstance. Approximately 1/3 of what is now Turkey Run State Park belonged to the Lusk family. The portion the Lusk owned was a central and most spectacular section. It included Rocky Hollow, Bear Hollow, and the area where the Inn and Nature Center are now. The family was led by Solomon Lusk. Like most residents here in the early 1800s, Solomon wasn't originally from this area. He was born in Vermont and came here while serving in the U.S. Army. Solomon was stationed at Fort Harrison, which was located just north of modern-day Terre Haute. After being discharged from the Army, he became an apprentice under a miller and learned everything he needed to know about the trade. He also met the miller's daughter, Mary Beard. In 1819, Mary and Solomon were wed. He began construction of his own mill in 1823 along Sugar Creek at the Narrows. The mill's sluice and bottom floor were carved into the sandstone. Ultimately, Solomon and Mary would have 8 children. The mill was successful enough that a small town named Lusk Springs sprang up around it. In 1841, using the profits from his mill, Solomon built a 2-story brick house that overlooked the town that bore his name. In 1847, a flood destroyed the mill and Lusk Springs. Luckily, Solomon had 1,400 acres of farmland to fall back on. The town and mill were never rebuilt, but the house still stands today as a testament to the pioneer craftsmanship of Salmon and his hired hands. Salmon died in 1869, leaving Mary and their children behind. The youngest living Lusk son, John, ended up taking over Salmon's estate and the care of his aging mother. John never married. Mary died in 1883, leaving John, a lifelong bachelor, to live alone in his parents' home. Separating fact from fiction can be difficult when studying John Lusk's life. What we know for certain is that he seemed to keep everything. Many personal accounts claim the Lusk home was littered with tools, farm equipment, and supplies. One quote stated, "He never met a piece of paper he didn't like." Some claimed that they had to shimmy their way through stacks of stockpile items to make it around the house. Furthermore, John was paranoid. He was fearful that the Freemasons and Catholics were going to take his property or life. His paranoia ran so deep, he added a dormer into the back of the house so he could see the backyard from the second story. In this dormer, John built an escape hatch to allow a safe exit in case his house was ever under siege. There are several legends about John that may be based in some sort of truth. It was said his favorite food was Pickle the Squirrel, and that he was fond of whiskey. The most pervasive legend states that timber surveyors would offer John money for his large trees. In response, John would shoot his rifle at them until they left. John wasn't completely against people enjoying his land, though. He leased a portion of his property, the place where the current Turkey Run Inn stands today, to a local businessman to create a resort called Bloomingdale Glen. Visitors were able to stay in one of the rooms in a small house or a canvas tent. Those who ventured to Bloomingdale Glen were ferried across Sugar Creek in a boat to explore the canyons on the other side. John Lusk died in 1915. The county took over his estate and possessions. Because John had not paid his taxes for years, the county broke up his land into sections and prepared to sell everything, including Turkey Run. A commission was created in 1915 to find and raise funds to purchase beauty spots in Indiana to form a state park system as a gift to Hoosiers in recognition of the 1916 state centennial. Colonel Richard Lieber was tasked with leading this commission. A local author, Juliet Strauss, was able to get the commission to pursue purchasing Turkey Run. With the combined efforts of Strauss and Lieber, money was raised to purchase the Lusk property. Lieber had a gentleman's agreement with several timber companies that they would not outbid him. These timber companies had been eagerly awaiting a chance to buy the timber outright without being shot at. On May 18, 1916, the day of the auction, local people gathered in large numbers to watch Indiana buy its first state park. The commission was prepared to purchase Turkey Run for $20,200. However, they had $30,000 to spend. The now famous Lusk auction was seen by many to be a formality. Unfortunately, the Hoosier Veneer Company changed its mind about the gentleman's agreement and outbid Lieber for Turkey Run with a high bid of $30,200. Lieber went back to Indianapolis and began to raise more funds. One of the factors that led to Hoosier Veneer being willing to sell its newly acquired land was the lease for Bloomingdale Glen. It extended until April of the following year. Hoosier Veneer would have to weather the public dissatisfaction while not being able to harvest any Turkey Run timber for 11 months. In November 1916, Turkey Run was purchased from Hoosier Veneer for $40,200, which was $10,000 more than originally planned. After the purchase, Turkey Run became Indiana's second state park. During the negotiations with Hoosier Veneer, McCormick's Creek State Park was purchased in June 1916, and it became Indiana's first state park instead of Turkey Run. Due to their efforts, Colonel Richard Lieber and Juliet Strauss had memorials within the park. Both can be found near Turkey Run Inn. Turkey Run Inn was built in 1919 and was part of Lieber's vision for Indiana state parks. It was the second state park inn of the 7 that exist today. It has undergone changes, additions, and modifications, but the allure of this beautiful facility continues as strong as it was 100 years ago. Turkey Run, like many of Indiana's state parks, benefited from the work of the Civilian Conservation Corps, or CCC. The CCC was one of President Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal programs to provide jobs to unemployed young men. From 1934 to 1942, Company Number 2580 was located at Turkey Run State Park. Its camp was located in the grassy areas near the modern-day swimming pool. Turkey Run lacked basic infrastructure that in modern times is expected of parks. These young men worked on projects mostly related to land management and park construction. Many structures within the park were built by the CCC, including the shelter houses, main gatehouse, park office, saddle barn, and terrace at Sunset Point. Without the CCC's contributions, Turkey Run may not have become the lively state park it is today. Natural forces shaped Turkey Run, and then humans protected it from other humans, which led to preserving it for today. In 1969, the Rocky Hollow Falls Canyon Nature Preserve was designated to legally protect this unique landscape from any development other than the building of trails to provide access. This nature preserve includes all the land on the north side of Sugar Creek within Turkey Run State Park and encompasses about 1,600 acres, making it one of the largest nature preserves in Indiana. This nature preserve protects the unique, deep sandstone canyons and one of the last remnants of the magnificent forest that originally covered most of Indiana. Eastern hemlock, the rare Canada yew, mosses, liverworts, lichens, and ferns are some of the unique plant life that need the canyons for their continued survival. The preserve has also held the federal designation as a National Natural Landmark since 1974. Managed by the National Park Service, the Landmark Program recognizes and encourages the conservation of sites that contain outstanding biological and geological resources, and it provides another layer of conservation. This designation is why certain activities are prohibited within Turkey Run State Park and why there are no restrooms or facilities on the north side of Sugar Creek. As you enjoy your time at Turkey Run State Park, please keep in mind that the Lusk family, Juliet Strauss, Colonel Richard Lieber, and many others believed this park was worth saving and protecting. And the future? That's up to you and me. People from all over the state and the region flock to Turkey Run to enjoy its canyons and trails. If we're going to preserve Turkey Run's natural beauty for the next generation and the generations that follow, all of us need to commit to honoring the rules that will ensure its future. Stay on marked trails to prevent harming the native plants and animals. Carry out everything you and your pets bring into the park, including pet waste. Take nothing from the park except pictures and memories. Keep your food away from wild animals. Do not deface any rocks or trees with carvings or handprints. Stay off rock faces to protect our canyons and yourself. Enjoy your visit here at Turkey Run State Park.